Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, miércoles el 6 de marzo. We're going to begin by going over, as we have been starting this past class, the questions that you guys are answering for your De Niño Como Eras autobiographical presentation. We went over the first question on Monday, Como Eras Tú, and your response beginning with de niño or de niña, yo era, and then 5 adjectives to describe what you were like as a child. De niño or de niña, yo era, and 5 adjectives. We're going to go over the second and third question today, and then on Friday you'll go over the fourth and fifth question and be all done, ready to go. Just need to put this project together in a presentational format using authentic pictures, drawings, and memorabilia from your childhood. Second question for your project is ¿Qué te gustaba hacer en tus ratos libres? What did you used to like to do in your free time as a kid? So you begin with de niño or de niña. You could also say de pequeño or de pequeña, pequeño being small or little. Either way, de niño or de pequeño. And then you're going to choose 5 verbs and conjugate them in the imperfect, using the endings that we've been looking at for the past few classes. Those endings are on page 194. So whether it's an AR verb like jugar, or practicar, montar, escuchar, bailar, nadar, then you would conjugate those AR verbs using your AR endings in the imperfect. Or if it's an ER verb like leer, comer, beber, or an IR verb like escribir, dormir, then you would use these regular ER and IR endings in the imperfect. That again is on page 194 of the textbook. So de niño, de niña, and then 5 verbs conjugated in the imperfect. Finally, the third question, ¿Qué era tu materia favorita y por qué? What used to be your favorite subject in school and why? You're going to share 2 reasons why you liked your favorite subject by using one verb and 1 adjective to describe it. So, again, always starting with de niño or de pequeño. De niño, mi materia favorita era, and then your favorite subject. Mi materia favorita era arte, música, coro, banda, ciencia, en educación física, inglés, etc. So, mi materia favorita era, and then your favorite subject, and then por qué, and then provide a verb. What did you used to do in that class? Provide that verb in the imperfect. Porque yo dibujaba mucho. Porque leía, escribía, bailaba, charlaba, pasaba tiempo con mis amigos, estudiaba, aprendía mucho. 1 verb in the imperfect, and then describe it with the verb ser and a descriptive adjective. Porque era fácil. Era una clase interesante. Era una clase activa, sociable, interesante. All right, and so those are the 2 questions we're going to do for our warm-up, and that'll get you 3/5 of the way done with your project. Friday, when we see each other again, we'll go over the final 2 questions for your project. Today, we will do a couple in-class activities. The first of which is an oral presentation that you guys are going to do in Canvas. Exercise 18. ¿Y tú qué dices? I'm going to go over the questions with you now and how to formulate, rather begin to formulate your responses. So, ¿y tú qué dices? And you, or how about you, what do you say, or what do you think? Comes from the verb decir, to say. Like, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say? Number 1, en la escuela primaria, ¿cómo eras? This is very similar to the question that you guys answered last class. So you're going to answer similarly. En la escuela primaria, yo era, and then you can just utilize your answer from last class. Give me 5 adjectives to describe what you were like as a child. En la escuela primaria, yo era, 5 adjectives. ¿Qué clase te interesaba más? What classes were you interested in the most? Notice the ending of the verb interesar is in the imperfect, so we know we're talking about your past, right? Your continuous past in primary school. So to answer this part, you're going to change te, which is in the to form, to me in the yo form. Me interesaban más your classes that you were interested in. Give me a couple. Me interesaban más inglés y arte, for example. Y ahora, and now, and then notice the difference in the ending of the verb. ¿Qué clases te interesan? What classes are you interested in now? So this verb is conjugated not in the past, but in the present tense. And respond in the present. Me interesan. Give me a couple classes that are interesting to you. Just like how you did for the second question in number 1. Ahora me interesan álgebra y historia, for example. Number 2, de pequeño, when you were little, or de pequeña, either way. ¿Te gustaban las ciencias? Did you like science? It's a yes or no question. So respond with yes or no. Sí, me gustaban las ciencias de pequeño, or no. No me gustaban las ciencias de pequeño. ¿Qué experimentos hacían tus compañeros de clase y tú en la escuela? What experiments did you and your classmates used to do? The verb hacer in the imperfect. Use the nosotros form to say my classmates and I used to do experiments and indicate what kind of experiments. Nosotros hacíamos experimentos de cocinar, cooking experiments. Experimentos de ecosistemas, ecosystems experiments. Experimentos de roquetas, rockets experiments. Y ahora, and now, ¿qué experimentos hacen en sus clases de ciencia? What experiments do you all do now in science? So use the verb hacer in the present, using your present tense endings that we looked at in the first semester. Ahora nosotros hacemos experimentos de, and then indicate the type of experiments. Finally, number 3, de niño, ¿en qué pensabas más? As a kid, what were you into most? Los estudios, los libros, los deportes, or los juguetes? Your studies, books, sports, or toys? Use the yo form of the verb pensar and pick. Ahora, ¿en qué piensas más? Now, what are you into most? And doesn't need to be one of those 4 categories. It could be something else that you're interested in or into most now, in the present. And those are the ¿Y tú qué dices? Questions. Please respond to these questions orally. Do not just take a picture of your notebook. That is not an oral submission. An oral submission should be done as an audio or video file of you presenting orally, sharing orally your responses to these questions. Page 208 in the textbook would be a great reference. You also have a page that I gave you at the beginning of this chapter that organizes all the key or most of the key vocabulary that you would find useful, and grammar as well that we've gone over. Lastly, there are a couple workbook pages to do for practice. Forgive me. And those are pages 81, 78, and 83. And there are video instructions here that can walk you through it. So I'll direct you to that video instead of re-recording the same exact thing. So check out that video. And then 3 of the 3 pages, 73 is new. We've not looked at that yet. 78 is new, using the verb ir, ser, and ver, very similar to the activity we did last time we saw each other. On page 196, about los veranos en Boston, right? Using ir, ser, and ver. We talked about the context clues for ir, ser, and ver being adjectives, places, and then ver being the verb to see, so just things that we would typically watch or see, like televisión or un partido, which is a game, sporting event. So that activity, page 78, is going to be very similar to that, where all of your options are going to be the correct form of ir, ser, or ver. Use the clues at the very end, and you may need to use your phone as a dictionary to look up some new words that we've yet to cover. And then 81 you actually have in your green packet. So take a picture of the key vocabulary, that you can find on page 208 that you organized, and then the grammar as well. Your regular AR and ER, IR endings in the imperfect, and then the irregular conjugations of ser and ir. Indirect object pronouns we kind of anecdotally talked about when we indicate to whom or for whom an action is done. And you can find those as well on page 208.